On this Labor Day weekend, many of us are thinking not about work, but about being off work, maybe taking a short vacation or an extended weekend being with family and friends. And I think, like so many aspects of our human experience, work can be so easily misunderstood by us. We can fall prey to the temptation to think of work in terms only of its tedium and its hardship. How many times have we heard another say, or maybe we ourselves have said, "I hate my work"? Certainly whenever we are overcome with these feelings of anxiety and angst, it is the work of Satan, who's always trying to disturb us by distorting all things. The truth is that all human work is a great good. And it is a great good first and foremost because it is human. As creatures made in the image and likeness of God, what we do has fundamental value and great worth because it flows from our hands. On a more practical level, work allows us the means to then meet the material needs of our families. In a personal sense, it allows us, it's the means by which our talents and skills can be perfected in maybe a chosen profession or career. But in a spiritual sense, work is nothing less than a means by which you and I are united to Christ. Think about it. The Catechism of the Catholic Church speaks that work unites us all to the ongoing creative work of God. Again, united to Jesus, his Son, who worked as a carpenter. This is so easy for us to forget. All things in this world are the work of God, and there are means by which we can be united to him. And I think our readings today speak of this reality. In the Gospel, Jesus speaks of those invited by someone to a wedding banquet, and then he speaks of times when we hold a lunch or a dinner and who we are to invite. Again, the parable doesn't tell us exactly how this will play out in our lives. The examples of a wedding banquet and a lunch, they're symbolic, in which God will enter our lives with his invitation to us in so many ways, in our joys, in our sufferings, in our loves, in our leisure, and yes, in our work. But what the gospel does tell us is the underlying principle by which we are to engage all things in this virtue of humility, grounded in thanksgiving. When you are invited, do not recline at a table of honor, but rather go to the lowest place. All of us have received unbelievable gifts and talents. We receive invitations from God each day to be more fully filled with his grace. He offers himself now to us in the Holy Eucharist. How else could we, or would we respond to all of these things, except with thanksgiving and with humility? He is the one who is responsible for all the good in our lives. He is the one who has gone before us, taking on our flesh and blood, undergoing the horrible suffering of his passion, so that we might be then led through all of our sufferings into the glory of his resurrection. He is the one who has worked and who calls us to work. He has promised to always be with us, to give us everything we need. You and I have nothing that we have not received from him. And then it is in our awareness of this truth that will lead us to a spirit of generosity, of which Jesus then speaks in the gospel, to invite others and to share with others all of our gifts and talents, not only with those whom we can expect some sort of repayment, but to give freely and humbly without any regard for what we might receive back. How many times have you sat down and thanked God for your work? How many times have we thanked God maybe for a particular suffering or tragedy in our life? How many times do we thank Him for all the gifts that are ours, so that we might then grow in humility, accepting all things as flowing from His infinite generosity for us? For all things in this world are His work, and in His Son, He has recreated our humanity, so we might come to see and know that more and more each day, that we might always keep our eyes on the goal of all of this in this world, what the writer of the letter of the Hebrews sees, the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem, countless angels in festal gathering. This is our destination and our destiny. But let us never forget that we can only reach that destination through one path, the path of humility, striving to know the joy of all things, yes, even our work, knowing that all is meant to lead us to Christ, to His infinite joy, and to the eternal glory of heaven.